Welcome back into the Scramble Drill Dynasty podcast. I don't think I got Josh too good this time. I tried to make
pretty good.
I tried to make a comment. He is laughing. It's not my best one, but it's good. It's very good. Josh, how are we doing today?
Hanging in there. Man, it's been a busy week, and I don't know how it is down there for you in the armpit of the United States of America, but it has been hot as balls here in North Carolina.
It's been ungodly hot. I'll say that. It's to the point where I've started reading my Bible more and praying more because, look, it says in the Bible like hell is, there's a lake of fire. I feel like I'm in that right now, so if hell is worse than this, I really don't want to go. It was 110 here yesterday.
Are you kidding?
It was 110 with the humidity. It wasn't like the actual temp, but the feel-like temperature was 110.
Okay. Yeah. Here it was 103 or 4 feel like, I believe.
I don't like this. I'm not having fun.
Well, when I looked at the temperature today here and then the temperature at Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach was like 10 degrees cooler, I was like, there's something wrong with this picture.
At least you have the ocean breeze over there. I just have hot, sticky garbage here.
There's no air at all. There's no wind. It's just... I walked out of the office the other day, and it just felt like somebody had put an oven mitt on top of me. This is disgusting.
Yeah, we had an office party for somebody who was like there, 1 year here, let's go, to get some margaritas at the Mexican restaurant. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And we get there, and the brilliance of everyone aside, like, let's bring a whole lot of people. So guess where we're sitting? Outside. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's not too bad. It's in the evening now. Okay, here in South Carolina, during the summer, the evening is still 90 degrees, okay? That's not fun. That's not pleasant. Like, oh, it's not too bad. Yes, it is. I'm sitting in a puddle of my own sweat. I can't even pee. I'm so dehydrated. My pee is like toothpaste right now. This is ridiculous.
There was a news story. I think it's now been about 2 weeks since I saw this, but in Britain, it was 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was a news story because it was 78 degrees Fahrenheit.
Screw
and this story
the Brits.
Americans got a hold of this story, and they were like, you're a bunch of wusses.
This is why we beat you guys. This is why we're a free country. You guys aren't built for this.
You're not capable of dealing with humidity.
You can't handle it. I'm sorry. We're better than you.
Oh. Yeah, we're more resilient. The sultry, balmy South is more capable. Anyways,
we started a war with you guys over tea and beat you so bad you're our oldest ally. Weren't expecting a history rant today, were you?
No, I wasn't. I was thinking we were gonna, separation of history and football. But you know what? I'm down. We can do that.
Listen,
we can play
I can't keep up with you, but I am a little bit of a history buff. You are far more of a history buff than I am, but I do enjoy history a lot.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun to. Today I was looking at apparently when John F. Kennedy was in Germany. He gave that famous speech at the Berlin Wall, or it was after the. Let's see. This was before Berlin Wall.
You're not mixing up Reagan, right? Because Reagan was tear down. Mr. Gorbachev, bring down this wall.
He was tear down the wall. Yeah. Kennedy was the Ich bin ein Berliner.
Ich bin ein Bavaria or something.
Yeah, where he says we're all Berliners. Apparently, there was this whole myth going on that Berliner in German means jelly donut. And so he apparently said, I am a jelly donut. But it was the equivalent of a Danish person saying, I'm a Danish. So it's the kind of thing where there was no hiccups. Everybody knew what he meant, but he still kind of said, I'm a Danish. Anyways.
Yeah.
funny little.
Speaking of Berlin,
there's your factoid for
I've
the day.
got a something on my desk. A girl I work with, she knows I'm a history buff. She went like on a trip to Europe recently, and she brought me back a piece of the Berlin Wall, which is cool.
Oh, that's incredible.
So I've got that sitting on my desk. I don't know if it actually is, but they were selling.
She probably
them.
bought it in a gift shop.
Well, that's what I'm
like
saying.
When they buy the Declaration of Independence, but it's just like somebody printed it out.
I mean, it's a piece of concrete, and it came with a certificate of authenticity. I don't know if the Germans were lying to her. They very may well have been. But it's cool.
You know, they probably were, but it's cool.
Yeah.
I would put that in a little display case.
Yeah, I got it
that
sitting on my
mantle.
desk. Yeah. Piece of the Berlin Wall.
That's incredible.
Anyways.
You wouldn't know it, but this is a fantasy show.
I was just about to say, anyways, we're here to talk about fantasy football. We're in the dog days. Not a whole lot going on for fantasy. Kind of boring, but look, if you play Dynasty, you're very much still in it. If you play, redrafts are slowly firing up. More underdog kind of best ball stuff going on right now, but they're starting up, kicking into high gear as well. So we're still talking Dynasty. We're going to start, leaning a little bit more into redraft pretty soon, I would assume. But yeah, we're here to talk about some fantasy. Josh, we have one conversation in store today, and then what else do we want to talk about?
We'll have a conversation, and then we're going to run through some keep trade cuts. We got a bunch of them. I don't know how many of these we'll get through. But we have some Superflex Dynasty keep trade cut. But basically, these are value debates. These are temperature checks for different players, and we'll just sort of see how this goes.
That sounds fun. All right, let's hop into it. This first part, he's a player of a lot, or the subject of a lot of debate in the fantasy community right now, and rightfully so. And the main reason I even put him in here is because I was on Instagram, and a really good fantasy football page, Fantasy Guides. He posted a kind of reel today talking about DK Metcalf. And I'll give them a shout out. They're a really great follow. He posts a whole lot of stuff. And I just thought it was interesting, and I thought maybe we should dive into it and talk about it here, because they were saying that DK Metcalf was his wide receiver 10, I believe, heading into this year. And the ADP is wide receiver 24, and they think that's too low. So I just thought it was a fun conversation we could have. Josh, what are your thoughts there? 10 and 19 seems high. That's a big difference.
Yeah, 10 is very high. I'm trying to think about this with an open mind, because if you've been around for any length of time, you will know that I sort of have a closed mind about DK Metcalf at this point in the DK Metcalf experience. I have had DK Metcalf for approximately 4 years, I believe, in the granddaddy of them all. So
you've been loyal.
I've been through thick and thin, and it's been a whole lot of thin. And it's not that he's ever been bad. It's just that he's always been not quite good enough to be super impactful. And it's because you know how good he... Ooh, Lord.
Don't ever do that.
You know how good he can be? We have seen 83 catches for 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. But that was in 2020. And we're going into 2025, and he has not crossed... Well, he had 1,100 yards in 2023. But it's just... I don't know. It's always good, never elite. And I think the thing with him is it can be elite, and that's why it's so frustrating. He could be A.J. Brown, but he's not. And so I don't know. I kind of recuse myself in DK Metcalf debates at this point.
Yeah, I know you definitely think that way. I personally have thought that way about DK for a long time now. I know Landon, even though he's not on the show right now, he definitely thinks this way about DK. He is borderline out on DK. But I think the argument's interesting because for years, I think the fantasy community overvalued DK for similar reasons to what you just mentioned on what he should be, but something that he never really was. Now, he had a few really, really great seasons, but he never lived up to his full potential. Now, a lot of that we know was because he's had to deal with prime Tyler Lockett most of the time. He had to deal with JSN's breakout last year. But you would still think he should be the one there. Now he's heading into what really could be the best situation of his career. You give him Aaron Rodgers, who, even at 40 years old, Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams were top 12 receivers last season with Aaron Rodgers. Even though the Jets were horrible, I understand that. They were really good, and it was because he had Aaron Rodgers. You get rid of George Pickens, so he doesn't have to deal with Locke. He doesn't have to deal with JSN. He doesn't have to deal with George Pickens. He has to deal with Calvin Austin. And who else is there? Roman Wilson? People probably have forgotten Roman Wilson's even there. So it's no target competition whatsoever. And a quarterback who is consistently through his career supported high-end receivers. So is there a world where he really does live up to his potential this season?
There certainly is a world, and I did a quick little search trying to figure out what would he have to do to return on a wide receiver 10 investment. He would probably need to give you 15 to 15.5 points per game and play 16, 17 games. I've got his fantasy point, and I'm not worried about the games played. He's played 16 games or more every season, but last year he played 15. His points per game the past 4 years are 14.5, 13.3, 14.1, 12.7 this past year. So could he go up from his, I feel like 14 to 14.5 is sort of his, he's between 13.5 and 14.5 as kind of a median outcome. Could that median outcome from what he's been in Seattle elevate a half a point to, 15 to 15.5 points per game with Aaron Rodgers? It certainly could. It's just that I think you have to overcome a bit of fear to get there. And I understand putting him at 10 because that's more of your ceiling outcome than it is your median outcome. But there's certainly, I think, room between wide receiver 24, where he is right now, and wide receiver 10, where if you say you have him at 15 or 16, I'm probably there. But 24, I agree, is probably too low. 10 might just be too rich, I think.
Yeah, I'm not saying he should be a wide receiver 10. I don't have him there. I'm not going to put him there. He's got to give me like 6 weeks. Maybe not quite 6 weeks, but he's got to give me like 4 weeks with Aaron Rodgers where he's putting up really good numbers where I'm like, all right, he's top 10 receiver this year. But 24, that feels like the absolute floor to me. Like, that feels like if DK Metcalf's the wide receiver 24, that will surprise me, honestly. I don't think he finishes that low. So I guess the whole argument that Fantasy Guys was making is that he's a gigantic value this season, and I think I'm there. I think he's going to be a steal in drafts right now.
Where's he going right now? What round is he going? I'm not. I've done a couple best ball drafts, and I think I saw him in the late 4th or early 5th, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, I don't have the exact
wide receiver 23 and an overall 53.
Yeah, on Underdog, he's wide receiver 25, ADP of 43, so he's like 4th, 5th round.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Feel really good
he
there,
ends up
honestly.
being he ends up being a 4th or 5th round pick just about every year, but I do feel better about him today than I did this time last year, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely have to feel better about him in Pittsburgh with no target competition than in Seattle with JSN there.
Yeah, and not even to mention Tyler Lockett, he wasn't a ton this past year, but he's been so good for so long that you've always had that target competition.
Well, he finally sheds Tyler Lockett and just immediately replaces it with JSN.
Right. Yeah, DK's tough. I'm scarred. If I hadn't experienced the DK Metcalf experience for the past 4 years, I'd probably be screaming it from the rooftops that he's such a screaming value, but I'm just cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of an outside observer. Unless I trade him, this will be my first season really having a share of DK in a dynasty league, so I'm kind of excited.
I mean, it should be a fun time. I'm hoping that he's actually consistently playable in the Granddaddy of them all this year.
I think the Granddaddy of them all is tough. But in your regular fantasy league, I think he's definitely going to be a starter. I think he's a wide receiver too.
Yeah.
And if he's a flex guy for you, that's great. That's even better.
Yeah.
All right. Let's switch gears, go to Dynasty. Let's talk about some keep, trade, cut, guys. Josh, I'll let you kind of kick us off with our first one here.
So we've got all of these are going to be super flex. All of these are Dynasty. We have Nico Collins, Caleb Williams, and Omarion Hampton. Ben, who do you keep? Who do you trade? Who do you cut, and why?
Oh, gosh. Pass. I would like to pass,
you want
please.
them all.
Yeah, all of these are excellent options. Shoot. I'm going to say I'm going to keep... Oh, Lord. Omarion Hampton?
Wow.
Hampton? I don't know, dude. Gosh. This one's not fair. This one's really not fair. All of these are keeps. Like, yeah, Caleb Williams, a top 10 quarterback. You got a top 9 receiver in Nico Collins, and you got a top 4 running back. Maybe not in 2025, but in Dynasty, likely a top 4 running back in Omarion Hampton. All cornerstone assets. All guys you can feel good about and build your team. I'm going to go Hampton.
Let's break it.
Nico, Caleb.
Yeah, I'm thinking like break this down in terms of realistically how many years. Like if things go bad, could it? I don't know. Like we know what Nico is, but the thing with Nico is he is oft injured.
He's oft injured. He's a little bit older than you would think. He didn't break out early. He broke out late in his rookie contract. And they don't have a great offensive line, and they do bring in a lot of help at receiver. Not guys that I think will overtake Nico by any means. I'm not saying that, but they do have a lot of depth at receiver. So bad offensive line, a little bit of help at receiver. Again, he's not old, but he's a little bit older than you would think he would be. I mean, he's the same age as Justin Jefferson, but still, the runway is probably the same for Hampton and Nico, really. I mean, in 4 years, Nico Collins will be 30 years old. In 4 years, Omarion Hampton will be 25, 26 years old. I think I give Hampton the slight edge because he's the first-round running back in a really good situation. First-round running backs almost never, ever miss. And I think Omarion Hampton's an elite talent, so I think I got to give him the nod there. It is ever so slight.
Yeah, I think it would be Hampton or Caleb Williams for me. And,
yeah, I mean, honestly, if you wanted to keep Caleb, I wouldn't even blame you. Because he just got Ben Johnson, a better offensive line, and new weapons.
Maybe for the sake of this exercise, I might trade Hampton because you could get the world for him. You could keep Caleb, and then I guess you have to cut Nico, which feels horrific. But
yeah, this is.
Or maybe you do the inverse. Maybe you keep Hampton and you trade Caleb because you can still get a lot for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think.
And still cut Nico.
And this is not that I'm predicting it, but I think it's more likely that Hampton hits than Caleb hits, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, whose value is the highest it's ever going to be? I would believe you if you said it was Caleb Williams.
No, I really think that Caleb Williams is probably going to go up in value. I really do. But I think there's a higher chance that Hampton retains his value than Caleb.
Yeah. That one is a brutal way to start.
That one's tough. Keep all those guys.
That's
if
awful.
you have a team with those three guys, do not trade them.
Oy. Okay, next one. It's another cross-positional one, and we have a draft pick in here, so good luck.
Gross.
A.J. Brown, Brock Purdy, or a 2026 early first-round pick.
Ooh. That one's tough. I'm going to go Purdy. Dang it, because the next two are so team-dependent. It's so team-dependent.
Yeah, it is.
Like, if I'm contending, I'm going to keep A.J. Brown. If I'm not contending, I'm going to keep the first.
It's probably Purdy is the key. I think that's
I think universally
easy.
Purdy's the key.
Yeah. I'd probably go the first on the trade and the cut A.J. Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's if it's an early first, like it's guaranteed. I mean, that's what it says here. A guaranteed early first. I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be A.J. Brown, or I'm sorry. I think it's got to be the first if it's a top 3 pick.
Yeah. Okay, we sorted through that one relatively easily. This is another one. This is stupid. This is difficult. Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, or Jalen Waddle. Keep, trade, cut.
Well, I'm going to come out and say it if nobody else will. I'm cutting Jalen Waddle. I'm cutting Jalen Waddle.
I'm going to zig on that one a little bit.
Really?
I don't think I would cut Jalen Waddle. Maybe that's crazy. Is that crazy?
I think if I'm in like a 12-team league and I needed a quarterback too, I would, without hesitation, trade Jalen Waddle for either of those guys.
Okay. Well, I'd definitely take Dak Prescott. I think it's a question of Jared Goff or Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I think I'm keeping Prescott.
Yeah, Prescott for me is the easy keep. It's like Jared Goff is, I don't know. He's been so good the past couple of years with all these weapons and with Ben Johnson, but the offensive line is worse. The weapons are still very good, but you don't have Ben Johnson, and you lost 2 starters on the offensive line. If it's going to affect anybody,
0 now. Not related to this, but I think it's going to look awesome.
Well, the last 3 guys that have torn their Achilles in the NBA wore number 0. So,
son of a.
Just thought I'd float that out there for you.
Anyway,
I don't know. I think you could make a good case. It's keep Dak, trade Goff, cut Waddle, but
I think it's keep Dak. But if I'm trading Goff, like say I've got Dak and Goff for my QB 2 and 3, and I want to upgrade from my QB 3 to another position on my lineup, I would trade Goff. But if I'm trading Goff, I would be trying to trade him for a better receiver than Jalen Waddle.
That's the thing. Jalen Waddle is thrown in here as a foil because we're still clinging to the dreams of what Jalen Waddle could be, and we do know he's good. The problem is he gets hurt every freaking week, and their offense is weird.
I think Jalen Waddle's my DK Metcalf. Like, I know what he can be. I know what he can be, but he's not, and I don't know when he will be.
Yeah. But Goff is 30 and a pocket passer, and he might score 13.5 fantasy points per game next year. Would that shock anybody?
I mean, Dak's 31, so the age on the quarterback doesn't really affect me. And
I know, but I say all that to say, you have less concerns about Dak. Like, Dak is probably locked in. Like, I have little concerns that he drops below, 16.5 if the wheels fall off. If Goff has a little bit of a bumpy year, we are. So we're due for 23 points per game, Dak. Jared Goff might, when Jared Goff isn't great for fantasy, he's objectively terrible. But he has been really good because the situation has been very good.
So is Jalen Waddle.
Well, there you go. So I don't know. Maybe cut Waddle. Maybe cut Waddle.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you can keep Waddle if you want, but I think I keep Dak. Trade Goff for a better receiver than Waddle, and I'm not. I just don't want to touch Waddle right now. I really don't want to mess with him.
Yeah. Okay. Another cross-positional one. DK Metcalf, Derrick Henry, or Matthew Golden?
Are they going to, after just talking about him, are they going to let us keep DK Metcalf?
I'll be honest. This one is
keeping him.
Super easy. Super easy DK Metcalf keep.
And it's another situation kind of like with the A.J. Brown one in the first. If I'm contending, I'm probably going to take Derrick Henry. But if I'm not, I'm going to keep Golden. But as it sits, I'm going to keep DK, trade Henry, and cut Golden.
I think that's the right answer, but that feels insane because Matthew Golden was like the 109 or 10. Yeah, he's a first-round receiver that's 22 years old, and he went, I think, at the latter end of the first round in a lot of rookie drafts, which means that, like a few months ago, if somebody offered you the 110 for Derrick Henry, that's great. That is a great trade. But because it's Matthew Golden, we're like, I don't know. If this were a Mecca Ibuka, I'd take Ibuka.
Yeah, I would too. And Matthew Golden could be a smash success here.
Oh, for sure.
But I know what Derrick Henry is, and he just got an extension. And they're like, well, he's falling off. I'm like, yeah, he's playing 40 to 50% of the snaps, and he's scoring 19 points a game.
He's falling off, and he has 2,000 yards, guys.
I'm not worried about Derrick Henry this season.
No, he's a unicorn, man. Unicorns are weird. You almost have to value them. Like, trying to figure out how to value guys like Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. Like, you can't. It's impossible. Okay. That one, I think, was the easiest one yet. Here's a tough one for you.
This ain't tough for me.
this is really not that tough. It's you're gonna have a conversation here with some other players, but it's Joe Burrow, Nico Collins, or Bucky Irving.
This is a smash, easy one for me. This is a cupcake. We've been trashing Bucky Irving on this podcast all off season, really. This is a easy keep Joe Burrow, trade Nico Collins, and cut Bucky Irving. Easy.
Yeah, I agree.
That's cash money right there.
I agree. If somebody offers you Nico Collins for your Bucky Irving, I think you take that and you don't think about it. Now,
honestly, if I have Bucky Irving, which, spoiler, I don't have him anywhere in Dynasty, I am trying to use him everywhere to tier up. He is like the easiest tier up option in my head ever.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there even is a devil's advocate case for Bucky Irving because we are so universally out on him that I'm wondering if there's any room for us to be wrong.
Yeah. It's not even that I don't like him. I do like him. I don't like him at running back like 7 or 6 in Dynasty. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And Nico, we know what he is to enough of an extent that you just feel really good. Like, he feels to me a bit like A.J. Brown 2 years ago, which he is 2 years younger than A.J. Brown. So, but he's a little bit older than some of the really young elite guys, but he's really productive. It's just the only questions with him are, can he play like 16 games once, please?
Oh, if Nico Collins plays 16 games, like I'm not going to predict he will do this, but he has a shot to be the wide receiver 1 overall if he plays 16 games.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. He's right there.
Yeah.
But
I think when we did our dynasty wide receiver ranking, Landon and I, and we kind of talk like the top 9 or where you want to be. Like I want to get one of those guys on my team, and I kind of said then I think any of the 9 have a chance to finish as the wide receiver 1. Nobody else past them I think can, but any of those 9 could.
Yeah. All of that to say, this one's probably a pretty simple, cut and dry. Joe Burrow's your easy keep. Nico, you trade him, cut Bucky Irving.
Yeah. Long story short.
Okay.
Get a haul for Bucky and move on.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, here's one it's not just all elite guys. This is just, we're going to test you with some players that this is interesting. James Conner, Mark Andrews, or Travis Etienne. Who do you take? Who do you keep?
Is this a tight end premium league?
Let's say it's just PPR, standard PPR.
Okay. With the talk that's been coming out of Jaguars camp, call me crazy, but I'm going to keep Travis Etienne. Is that crazy? Is that crazy?
Wow. I don't know if it is or not. So what's your opinions on Travis Etienne? What do we need to do it? Because
I am not passionate about Travis Etienne. I'm not a Travis Etienne defender by any means. But
no, we're talking about a 30-year-old running back and a guy who had 45 targets last year.
Yeah. We're talking about Travis Etienne, who I don't think anybody's going to sit here and say Travis Etienne is not a talented running back. He is. It's been a really bad situation in Jacksonville the past few years. Can we all agree on that as well? It's been bad. It's been bad for everybody there. I understand last season was rough. But new coaching staff, and again, that can be also seen as a negative, new coaching staff, they have no loyalty to him. Yes, but the only running back they took was a day 3 guy. And I know it was in the 4th round, but still, it's a day 3 guy who I do not think is as talented as Travis Etienne. There were rumors that Travis Etienne was on the draft block or trade block. They were trying to move him, and Liam Cohen came out and said, we're not really trying, and again, it's probably all coach speech, but he's we're not really trying to move Travis Etienne. We really kind of just want to see what we have in him before we try to dump him or anything like that. So that kind of encouraged me okay, if I think the guy's the most talented on the team anyway, and they want to see what they've got before they just get rid of him, I would rather hold on to the 26-year-old Travis Etienne who's really talented versus the 30-year-old James Conner who is coming off a year where he was healthy, which is a little bit scary. And his replacement's there.
He's coming off a year where things went good, so
things went perfectly, which is a little bit scary. And his replacement is already there. Yeah. His replacement is on the team. I'm not saying that James Conner's going to have a bad season, but there's more red flags. There are some red flags with him to where I think in this scenario I'll give the nod to the younger Travis Etienne.
That is super fascinating because I don't know. I don't know who I think I would probably go James Conner as my keep. But I might trade Etienne and cut Andrews.
Yeah, I think Andrews
now,
is
here's
the
thing with Andrews. Andrews, and if you put your dynasty caps on, Andrews is probably not a Raven after this year. And there's always the what if. If a guy like that goes somewhere else and he's going into his age 31 season, which is not old for a tight end. Like George Kittle right now, I believe, is 31.
And you just got a 4-year extension.
That, but right. So I don't think you lost it at 31 if you're a great tight end, which I think we all believe Mark Andrews is. It's just a matter of where does he go. And I don't know. I just sort of think that great tight ends don't grow on trees. And maybe there's a chance that you have a resurgence. But at the same time, anytime a player gets cut or moved on from, it's generally a sign that things are not great. So I don't know. All that to say, I think he's the cut here.
Yeah, I think Mark Andrews is the cut, and I like Mark Andrews. I've had him in a lot of leagues. I've got him in this dynasty league. I don't want to see him go. He's been a great player, and I think he's being a little bit overhated. I know when we did our quarterbacks and tight ends ranking video, we put him in the category of like the after 7. You know, it kind of doesn't matter, but we put him at 8, and I really wanted to mention him at 8 because I don't think he's done for. I think he was a little bit banged up. He had a rough season last year. I think he will bounce back. I really do.
I'm curious. I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. Travis Etienne, I think, is the wild card here because I don't know, dude.
And I also want to mention Travis Etienne again because I think he will potentially have a future after Jacksonville. Like, we've seen him be a top 5 running back for fantasy. He's 26 years old, but it's not like he's an ancient 26 years old either, to where like Joe Mixon was an ancient 26 years old. I don't feel like Travis Etienne's an ancient 26. I think he can get a second contract with somewhere. Who will it be? I don't know, but there are teams that could absolutely use Travis Etienne.
Yeah. Okay, couple more here. We talked about one of these guys, but this is interesting. Drake London, Caleb Williams, or Bo Nix. Keep trade cut.
You sit up here and expect me to trade or cut Drake London? Are you insane? No. Keeping Drake London.
He's the keep.
He's the keep. Now, I will say this. He's the keep. I think Caleb is my trade and Bo Nix is my cut. However, I will say Bo Nix has been moving up rankings in my mind ever since we talked about him on the episode. I kind of started churning him over in my head more, started thinking about stuff, started looking at stats. He's definitely a guy I'm moving up on. I've moved up in my rankings.
Let me, I guess, put my money where my mouth is. Bo Nix is my keep.
And I get why you're going to say that. It's going to be rushing upside and Sean Payton.
It's rushing upside, and also he just threw for 29 touchdowns as a rookie.
He did.
So he's good, and he runs. That's great. That is like, and I know Caleb Williams also runs, but it's more of a question with Caleb Williams of how good is he than it is with Bo Nix. Like, I already know Bo Nix is really good. Bo Nix, I don't know what the ceiling is with Bo Nix necessarily, but I already know he's good. I'm not sure.
I hope that I'm not contradicting myself after I had Caleb Williams as a cut after Amarian Hampton and Nico Collins, but I will say, like, you could have him as your keep, and I can't really argue too much there. Let's not forget what kind of a prospect Caleb Williams was, and what kind of a coach he just got, and what kind of weapons he just got, and that Caleb Williams himself has rushing upside.
Yeah. Well,
I think I've got to give him the nod as my trade. So you've got London, Nix, Williams. I've got London, Williams, Nix.
Bo Nix is my keep. Drake London's the trade for me, and then Caleb Williams.
Oh, you're keeping Bo.
I am keeping him.
Oh, I didn't know we were being stupid on this podcast. You didn't tell me those were the rules.
Yeah, Bo Nix is legit. And Drake London's great. I think probably lost in this whole shebang is that Drake London is great. But I think if you have a quarterback that is legitimately good and also runs and has Sean Payton, you take that.
I had Drake London over Nico Collins in my dynasty rankings, if that tells you where I'm at with Drake London.
Yeah, I probably
very
would too.
high on him.
I would too. I feel much more strongly about Bo Nix as a dynasty asset than I do Caleb Williams, because I'm still really not sure what Caleb Williams is. I think because of the pedigree and because of the situation, his value is very high. But like my personal convictions about him as a player are very I have no idea. So I don't want to be overly enthusiastic about a player that I don't have strong convictions about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I've got medium convictions on Caleb Williams. I know last season was rough, but the Bears were rough last season. And now you add Colston Loveland, you add Luther Burden, who I love, and you swipe Ben Johnson from the Bears. That's with the just raw potential of Caleb, that is highly enticing for Dynasty.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. This one's honestly just funny. Christian McCaffrey, Bryce Young, or Cam Ward?
Well. Ward seems a Young.
Ward is...
Keep Ward, trade CMC, cut Young.
Wow.
Are we in agreement or no?
No, the thing with this one is I think you could probably make an argument for any order. I'm with you at the moment, I think. I think today I would probably keep Cam Ward, trade Christian McCaffrey, cut Bryce Young. But I think the interesting thing about Bryce Young and Cam Ward being in the same one is that they're both number one picks. They both were drafted to horrific situations.
I don't know that Tennessee's necessarily a horrific situation.
It's not good.
It's not good. But I've seen number one picks go to worse situations. Bryce Young went to a worse situation.
Yeah. I guess with Cam Ward, I am hopeful that you see a lot of flashes, but I'm not overly optimistic about his rookie year. It's just like he's the number one pick. You have that sort of value insulation to where you almost have to take blind bets on a player like that because of the value insulation. Whereas now with Bryce Young, we are at a point where, there was a period last season where he was left for dead and he was nothing, and then he comes on strong at the end of the year, and then they invest in, receiver. So, and he's not even 24 yet. So there's that part of it too where it's like, man, he's still got a bright future. If he's good, jury's still out.
Carolina can
Christian
avoid
McCaffrey's
breaking him.
Right, yeah.
Mentally and physically.
Him? I don't know how much longer we have with the Christian McCaffrey experience, but I'm guessing we got, what do you think, 2 years?
Hopefully. If you told me Christian McCaffrey was healthy this entire next season, I would probably have him as the keep. He's, to a lesser extent, a kind of like Nico Collins. I know he's great. Now, it's kind of doesn't translate because Nico Collins is like a top asset, but I need him to be on the field. If he's on the field, I know he's going to produce. I know. Like, it's a guaranteed fact, like death, taxes, and CMC scoring 20 points if he's playing.
Yeah.
But is he going to play? Like, I know he will play this season, but is he going to play 16? Is he going to play 10 games?
Yeah. I'll put it to you this way. If you're in a Superflex league and you have not had your rookie drafts yet, and somebody offers you the 104 for Christian McCaffrey, do you take it?
Yep.
So Cam Ward goes at the 104.
Yep.
Most of the time. 103 sometimes, but 104 is like a safe backstop. So then I would probably take that too. I don't know if that means I'm taking Cam Ward with the 104, but I'd probably take the 104 over.
Yeah, but I mean,
Christian McCaffrey.
From a value market play, the 104, which is where Cam Ward goes, has higher value than CMC.
Okay, so we go Cam Ward here, keep. I'm fine taking CMC as your trade and then cutting Bryce. I have no strong
and I'm optimistic
about
Bryce
Young.
I'm very optimistic about Bryce, especially with Ted McMillan there.
I think he's probably good. I don't know if you have a ceiling necessarily with Bryce Young, but I think you've got a decent starter.
I think there's a world, and this is obviously why Bryce Young is lower, but I think there's a world where like Bryce Young, if you told me today Bryce Young is QB 15 next year, I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Yeah. 26 touchdowns, runs for 300 yards. Yeah, why not?
I feel good about that.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, that versus a 29-year-old running back who might also be the RB1 this year. Ugh. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, if it's got to be, I think that's where the difference is like Cam Ward just went first overall to not a horrific situation. And the market value is him, is he holds the most value. So that's why I would keep him. And then it's kind of a coin flip, but I tend to land of I'm going to take the upside to CMC, and we'll see what we've got with Bryce.
Well, that's the last one.
Yeah, that was good. That was a solid exercise.
That's fun because it's like you said at the beginning. It's dog days, literally, of summer.
Yeah,
and player values are at a weird spot. There's going to be risers and fallers, and as we get closer to the actual season, players are going to shoot up based on camp news and different things like that. But I think in the summer when you do these exercises, you kind of give yourself a good barometer maybe for how the market is sitting. And like we said with Bucky Irving, maybe go trade him away. Maybe with DK Metcalf, we need to have a go buy him conversation.
Yeah,
but
wide receiver 25.
This is fun.
Kidding me? What?
Yeah. That is wild.
Yeah. I will say, too, since it is the dog days, if you have access to Josh or I or Landon and you listen to this league, I'm mainly talking to the listener league right now. Drop in, the comments of that league. DM us. What do you guys want to see us talk about and cover on the podcast? We're kind of it's the dog days. We're kind of an open book. If you want us to talk about it, we'll talk about it. If you want to, hear some redraft stuff, we'll talk redraft. If you want us to delve deeper into Dynasty, we will. You name it, we got it. You want to talk geopolitics, we'll talk about that.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll do a president's tier list. Why not?
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun. You're not going to like who number one is.
Should have done that for the 200.
Going with Calvin Coolidge as number one.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, Calvin Coolidge is the best. Nobody talks about Calvin Coolidge.
Nobody really knows what Calvin Coolidge did?
That's the best part. Nothing happened.
What did Calvin Coolidge do? I don't know.
Great.
I love it. Anyway, that's all we got for you today. If you enjoyed, leave us a like, comment, and review. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.